Good morning. Have you ever woken up feeling like your body just isn't bouncing back the way it used to? Maybe you've noticed that some days, no matter how much rest you get, you still feel sluggish or achy. Or perhaps you've started paying closer attention to what you eat because deep down, you know food plays a role in how you feel every day. If any of this sounds familiar, don't worry, you're not alone. Aging is a journey we all share, but here's the good news. There are simple choices we can make to support our health as we grow older. And one of those choices starts with something as basic as breakfast. Now, before we dive in, I want to remind you of something important. This video is for informational purposes only and is based on publicly available research. Everyone's health is different, so always consult your doctor or a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your lifestyle, diet, or exercise routine. Scientific knowledge is always evolving, and what works for one person may not work for another. That said, let's talk about 3 specific breakfast foods you might want to reconsider as you age, and why avoiding them could help you feel better than ever. Have you ever thought about how your morning meal sets the tone for the rest of your day? Think about it. After hours of fasting while you sleep, your body needs fuel to kickstart its metabolism, stabilize blood sugar levels, and give you energy. But what happens when the food you choose actually works against you instead of supporting you? Studies from institutions like Harvard Medical School suggest that certain foods high in sugar, unhealthy fats, and refined carbs can lead to inflammation, insulin resistance, and even cognitive decline over time. These effects become more pronounced as we age, which is why being mindful of what you eat in the morning is so critical. Let me tell you a story about my neighbor, Margaret. She's in her late 60s and has always been active, gardening, walking her dog, volunteering at the local library. But a few years ago, she started noticing she felt tired all the time, even though she was eating what she thought were healthy breakfasts. One day we got to talking, and she mentioned her go-to meals included things like sugary cereals, flavored yogurts, and white toast with jam. Now, none of these foods are inherently bad, but they weren't doing her any favors either. After swapping them out for more nutrient-dense options, Margaret told me she had more energy, fewer aches, and even lost a few pounds without trying. Her transformation inspired me to dig deeper into the science behind breakfast and aging, and today, I'm sharing what I learned with you. So let's start with the first breakfast food you'll want to avoid as you age: sugary cereals. You know the ones. They're often marketed as quick, convenient, and sometimes even fortified with vitamins. But here's the catch. Many of these cereals are loaded with added sugars, sometimes containing as much as 3 teaspoons per serving. When you consume a lot of sugar first thing in the morning, it causes your blood sugar levels to spike and then crash shortly afterward. For younger people, this might just mean a mid-morning slump, but for older adults, repeated blood sugar spikes can increase the risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology found that individuals who consistently ate high glycemic index foods, like sugary cereals, had higher markers of inflammation compared to those who ate low glycemic alternatives. Chronic inflammation, by the way, is linked to everything from arthritis to Alzheimer's disease. So, if you're craving something sweet in the morning, consider reaching for fresh fruit paired with protein-rich Greek yogurt or oatmeal topped with nuts and seeds instead. Your body will thank you. Now let's talk about another breakfast staple that might be doing more harm than good: processed meats. Bacon, sausage, ham. The smell of these sizzling in a pan can be irresistible, right? But here's the reality. Processed meats are often packed with sodium, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. Research from the World Health Organization classifies processed meats as Group 1 carcinogens, meaning there's strong evidence linking them to an increased risk of colorectal cancer. Moreover, the high sodium content can raise blood pressure, putting extra strain on your heart and kidneys. As we age, our bodies naturally lose some of their ability to regulate blood pressure effectively, making this a double whammy. Instead of starting your day with bacon or sausage, try leaner sources of protein like eggs, turkey slices, or plant-based options like tofu scrambles. They're just as satisfying, but come without the harmful side effects. By now, you're probably wondering, okay, so what's the third breakfast food I should avoid? Well, before we get to that, let's take a moment to reflect on why these small dietary changes matter so much. Imagine waking up each day knowing that the choices you make at the breakfast table could either protect your long-term health or put it at risk. It's empowering, isn't it? And the best part is, you don't have to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Small, consistent swaps can add up to big results over time. Speaking of which, let's move on to the final food on our list, one that might surprise you. Stay tuned, because understanding why this particular item doesn't serve us well as we age could be the key to unlocking better mornings and brighter days ahead. Alright, let's pick up where we left off. So far, we've talked about sugary cereals and processed meats, two breakfast foods that, while convenient or comforting, can do more harm than good as we age. Now it's time to tackle the third item on our list, and I'll warn you, it might be harder to give up than the others because it's something many of us have grown up loving. I'm talking about white bread, bagels, and other refined carbohydrates. Let me ask you this. How often do you reach for a slice of toast in the morning? Maybe you top it with butter, jam, or even avocado if you're feeling fancy. Or perhaps you grab a bagel on your way out the door because it's quick and filling. There's nothing inherently wrong with enjoying these foods occasionally, but here's the thing. Refined carbs are stripped of their fiber and nutrients during processing, leaving behind mostly empty calories. When you eat them, they break down into sugar almost as quickly as candy does. And remember what we said earlier about blood sugar spikes and crashes? That roller coaster effect isn't just tiring. It can also contribute to insulin resistance over time, which increases the risk of type 2 diabetes, a condition that becomes more common as we age. A study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that diets high in refined grains were associated with greater belly fat accumulation and reduced insulin sensitivity, both of which are red flags for long-term health. Belly fat, in particular, is stubborn and inflammatory, and it tends to settle around our organs as we get older. This visceral fat has been linked to an increased risk of heart disease, stroke, and even certain cancers. Yikes, right? The good news is, swapping refined carbs for whole grain options like whole wheat bread, steel-cut oats, or quinoa can make a world of difference. These foods are packed with fiber, which slows digestion and keeps your blood sugar stable throughout the morning. Plus, they help keep you fuller longer, so you're less likely to reach for unhealthy snacks before lunch. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I've been eating white bread my whole life, and I'm still here. And yes, habits can be hard to break, especially when they're deeply ingrained. But consider this, our bodies change as we age, and what worked for us in our 20s or 30s may not serve us as well in our 60s, 70s, or beyond. Think of it like maintaining a car. When you first buy it, regular oil changes and tune-ups keep it running smoothly. But as the years go by, you might need to upgrade to synthetic oil or replace worn-out parts to prevent bigger problems down the road. Our bodies are no different. Small adjustments now can help us avoid major issues later. Take Helen, for example. She's a friend of mine who loves her morning bagel with cream cheese. For years, she brushed off advice to switch to healthier options, saying, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." But then she started noticing little things. Her energy levels dipped mid-morning. She gained weight despite exercising regularly, and her doctor warned her about prediabetes. Reluctantly, Helen decided to try swapping her bagel for a bowl of oatmeal topped with berries and almonds. At first, she wasn't sure she'd stick with it, but within weeks, she noticed a difference. Her energy stayed steady, her pants fit better, and she felt lighter, not just physically, but mentally too. It's stories like Helen's that remind me how powerful small changes can be. So now that we've covered the 3 breakfast foods to avoid, sugary cereals, processed meats, and refined carbs, let's shift gears a bit. You might be wondering, what can I eat instead? Great question. Building a balanced breakfast doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it's easier than you think. Start by focusing on 3 key components: protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Protein gives you staying power, keeping you full until your next meal. Healthy fats support brain function and hormone balance, and fiber promotes gut health while stabilizing blood sugar. Together, these nutrients create a foundation for sustained energy and overall wellness. For instance, instead of a sugary cereal, try scrambled eggs with spinach and avocado. Eggs are rich in protein and choline, a nutrient that supports memory and cognitive function. Spinach adds vitamins A, C, and K, plus iron, while avocado provides heart-healthy monounsaturated fats. If you're not an egg person, a smoothie made with unsweetened almond milk, frozen berries, spinach, and a scoop of protein powder is another excellent option. Berries are loaded with antioxidants, which combat oxidative stress and inflammation, two culprits of aging. Another idea is overnight oats. Mix rolled oats with Greek yogurt, chia seeds, and a splash of vanilla extract, then let it sit in the fridge overnight. In the morning, top it with sliced banana, walnuts, and a drizzle of honey. Not only is this dish delicious, but it's also packed with fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and probiotics, all of which support digestion and immunity. I want to pause here for a moment because I know some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but I don't have time to cook every morning. Trust me, I get it. Life gets busy, and sometimes convenience wins out. That's why meal prep can be a game changer. Spend an hour or two on the weekend preparing ingredients for the week ahead. Hard-boil a batch of eggs, portion out servings of nuts and seeds, or pre-chop veggies for omelets. Having these items ready to go makes it much easier to assemble a nutritious breakfast, even on hectic mornings. Now let's talk about motivation. Changing habits isn't always easy, especially when it comes to food. We form attachments to certain meals because they bring comfort or nostalgia. But here's the thing, comfort doesn't have to come at the expense of your health. By experimenting with new recipes and flavors, you might discover combinations you love even more than the old standbys. And remember, progress doesn't mean perfection. If you slip up and indulge in a croissant or a plate of pancakes, don't beat yourself up. Every day is a fresh start, and consistency matters more than occasional setbacks. Speaking of consistency, did you know that research shows people who eat breakfast tend to have better overall diets than those who skip it? A study from the University of Bath found that individuals who ate breakfast consumed more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains throughout the day compared to those who skipped the meal. Breakfast sets the tone for mindful eating, helping you make healthier choices as the day goes on. Before we wrap up this section, I want to leave you with one final thought. Food isn't just fuel, it's medicine. What you put into your body has the power to heal or harm, energize or drain. As we age, making smarter food choices becomes even more important, not just for longevity but for quality of life. Imagine waking up each morning feeling vibrant, clear-headed, and ready to take on the day. Sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? In the next part, we'll dive deeper into how nutrition ties into other aspects of aging, including mental sharpness, joint health, and emotional well-being. We'll also address some common challenges seniors face when trying to adopt healthier habits. Spoiler alert, it's not as hard as you might think. So stick around because we're just getting started. Let's keep going, shall we? So far, we've covered the 3 breakfast foods you'll want to avoid as you age: sugary cereals, processed meats, and refined carbs, and explored some delicious, nutrient-packed alternatives. But here's the thing, nutrition is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to aging well. To truly thrive as we grow older, we need to think about how our daily choices impact not only our physical health, but also our mental clarity, joint mobility, and emotional well-being. And trust me, these areas are more interconnected than you might realize. Take brain health, for example. Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you were there? Or struggled to recall someone's name during a conversation? These little lapses happen to all of us from time to time, but they can become more frequent as we age. The good news is, science shows that what we eat plays a huge role in keeping our minds sharp. Foods rich in antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids, and B vitamins like leafy greens, fatty fish, nuts, and seeds are often referred to as brain food because they help protect against oxidative stress and inflammation, 2 major contributors to cognitive decline. In fact, a study published in Neurology found that older adults who followed a Mediterranean-style diet, which emphasizes whole, plant-based foods and healthy fats, had a 25% lower risk of developing dementia compared to those who didn't. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds great, but I'm not about to start eating salmon for breakfast. Fair enough. Not everyone loves seafood or has access to fresh ingredients year-round. But don't worry, there are plenty of other ways to support your brain without turning your mornings upside down. For instance, adding walnuts to your oatmeal or yogurt provides a dose of omega-3s, while sprinkling ground flaxseed on top gives you fiber and lignans, compounds that have been shown to improve memory and learning. Even something as simple as drinking green tea instead of coffee can make a difference. Green tea contains L-theanine, an amino acid that promotes relaxation and focus, making it a gentler alternative for those who find caffeine overwhelming. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another area where food and lifestyle intersect: joint health. If you've ever dealt with stiff knees, achy hips, or sore shoulders, you know how much pain can affect your quality of life. While genetics play a role in conditions like arthritis, research suggests that diet can either exacerbate or alleviate symptoms. Processed foods, fried items, and sugary treats trigger inflammatory responses in the body, which can worsen joint pain over time. On the flip side, anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, ginger, berries, and olive oil can help reduce swelling and stiffness. Here's a personal story to illustrate this point. A few years ago, my Uncle John started having trouble with his knees. He loved playing golf, but after a round, he'd come home limping and popping ibuprofen like candy. One day, I suggested he try incorporating more anti-inflammatory foods into his diet. Skeptical but willing, John began swapping out chips for raw veggies with hummus, replacing soda with water infused with lemon and mint, and seasoning his meals with turmeric instead of salt. Within a few months, he noticed a significant improvement, not just in his joints, but in his overall energy levels too. He told me, "I feel like I've got my old self back." Stories like John's remind me that small changes really do add up. Of course, adopting healthier habits isn't always easy, especially when you're dealing with obstacles like fatigue, chronic pain, or limited mobility. I hear from so many people who say things like, "I'd love to cook more, but standing in the kitchen exhausts me," or "I'd exercise if I could, but my knees won't cooperate." These concerns are valid, and they highlight the importance of finding solutions that work for your unique situation. For example, if cooking feels overwhelming, consider investing in a slow cooker or instant pot. These appliances allow you to prepare hearty, nutritious meals with minimal effort. Toss in some chicken thighs, sweet potatoes, carrots, and spices, hit a button, and come back hours later to a comforting stew that practically makes itself. And if traditional forms of exercise seem out of reach, don't underestimate the power of movement tailored to your abilities. Chair yoga, tai chi, and even gentle stretching routines can improve flexibility, balance, and circulation, all of which are crucial for staying active and independent as you age. A study from Johns Hopkins University found that older adults who engaged in light physical activity, such as walking or gardening, reduced their risk of frailty by nearly 40%. That's a staggering statistic, and it proves that every bit of movement counts. Speaking of independence, let's touch on emotional well-being. Aging brings its share of challenges, from losing loved ones to adjusting to retirement or managing health issues. It's natural to feel overwhelmed at times, but staying socially connected can be a powerful antidote to loneliness and depression. Research from the National Institute on Aging shows that seniors who maintain strong social ties tend to live longer, happier lives. Whether it's joining a book club, volunteering, or simply calling a friend once a week, nurturing relationships keeps both your mind and spirit young. One woman I met through my local community center exemplifies this perfectly. Her name is Ruth, and she's 81 years old. After her husband passed away, Ruth fell into a deep depression. She stopped going out, stopped cooking proper meals, and spent most of her days watching TV alone. Then, a neighbor invited her to join a weekly knitting group. At first, Ruth hesitated. It had been decades since she'd picked up needles, but eventually she agreed to give it a try. What happened next surprised her. Not only did she rediscover her love for crafting, but she also formed friendships with women who became like family. Today, Ruth says the group saved her life. The takeaway here is simple yet profound. Taking care of yourself isn't just about eating right or staying active. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your whole person, body, mind, and soul. And while change can feel daunting, it doesn't have to happen all at once. Start with one small step, whether it's swapping white toast for whole grain, taking a 10-minute walk around the block, or reaching out to an old friend. Momentum builds momentum, And before you know it, you'll be amazed at how far you've come. Before we move on to the conclusion, I want to leave you with one last nugget of wisdom. Did you know that optimism, the belief that tomorrow will be better than today, is linked to longer lifespans? A landmark study from Harvard University followed participants for decades and found that individuals with a positive outlook were significantly less likely to develop chronic diseases and lived an average of 7 years longer than their pessimistic counterparts. 7 years. That's a lot of extra time to enjoy life's blessings, big and small. So no matter where you are on your journey, hold on to hope. Every choice you make today shapes the person you'll become tomorrow. Are you ready to hear the final takeaways and discover a simple challenge you can start implementing right away? Let's wrap this up with some actionable steps and inspiration to carry you forward. Alright, let's bring it all together. Over the course of this video, we've covered a lot. How to rethink your breakfast choices, why certain foods can hinder your health as you age, and how small changes in nutrition, movement, and mindset can create big results over time. We've talked about sugary cereals, processed meats, and refined carbs, the 3 breakfast culprits you'll want to avoid, and explored healthier alternatives like whole grains, lean proteins, and anti-inflammatory ingredients. Along the way, we've also touched on brain health, joint mobility, emotional well-being, and the importance of staying socially connected. It's been quite a journey, hasn't it? But now let's distill everything into some key takeaways that you can carry with you moving forward. First and foremost, remember this: aging doesn't mean losing control of your health. It means taking charge of it in a smarter, more intentional way. The choices you make each day, what you eat, how you move, who you spend time with, they all add up. Science shows us that habits formed today can have a profound impact on your quality of life tomorrow. For example, experts like Dr. Michael Greger, author of How Not to Die, emphasize that diet and lifestyle play a critical role in preventing chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and even cancer. So while genetics may load the gun, it's often our daily decisions that pull the trigger, or don't. Let's recap those breakfast swaps one more time, because they're such an easy place to start. Instead of sugary cereals, try oatmeal topped with fresh fruit and nuts. Swap out processed meats for eggs, turkey slices, or plant-based proteins. And trade white bread or bagels for whole grain options like sprouted toast or quinoa porridge. These substitutions might seem minor, but trust me, they can set off a ripple effect of positive change throughout your entire day. When you fuel your body with nutrient-dense foods, you give yourself the energy and resilience to tackle whatever comes your way. Now, I know change isn't always easy, especially when life gets busy or uncomfortable. But here's the beautiful thing: progress doesn't require perfection. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight or become a fitness guru to reap the benefits of healthier living. Start small. Maybe it's committing to one home-cooked meal a week, or setting aside 5 minutes each morning to stretch and breathe deeply, or simply calling a friend once a week to check in. These tiny actions might not feel like much at first, but over time, they compound into something truly transformative. And speaking of transformation, I want to leave you with a challenge, one that's simple yet powerful enough to inspire real growth. Here it is. For the next 7 days, focus on adding just one healthy habit to your routine. It could be anything: swapping your morning muffin for Greek yogurt, going for a short walk after dinner, or practicing gratitude by writing down 3 things you're thankful for before bed. At the end of the week, reflect on how you feel. Did you notice any shifts in your energy, mood, or outlook? If so, keep building on that momentum. Add another habit the following week, and then another. Before long, you'll have created a lifestyle that supports your health and happiness in ways you never imagined. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated most? Are you planning to try any of the breakfast swaps we discussed? Or maybe you already have a favorite go-to meal that keeps you feeling great. Let me know in the comments. I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content on healthy aging. Together, we can build a community where everyone feels empowered to live their best life, no matter their age. Finally, I want to leave you with a thought to carry with you as you go about your day. Aging is inevitable, but decline isn't. Every sunrise brings a new opportunity to nourish your body, sharpen your mind, and nurture your spirit. Whether you're savoring a bowl of oatmeal, taking a leisurely stroll through the park, or sharing a laugh with a loved one, you're investing in the most valuable asset you have, yourself. Here's to waking up each morning with purpose, vitality, and joy. Here's to embracing the beauty of growing older, not as a burden, but as a gift. And here's to living your best life at any age. Thank you for spending this time with me, and until next time, take care of yourself and each other.